أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Dear researchers and students, Assalamu alaikum and many warm welcomes in this second episode about how to identify research gaps in thesis, dissertations, or articles. In the first episode, we discussed some limitation-based signal words that authors use to report the research gaps. The research gaps that are present in their studies. This second episode is about future recommendation-based signal words. This episode is slightly different from the first one, and it's different in the sense that it also includes examples on how future recommendation-based signal words are used by authors in their studies. So it's going to be more interesting and elaborative, so stay connected till the end. Now let's start our journey of understanding future recommendation-based signal words. The first word that we have in our list of future recommendation-based signal words is future. And let's see how this word is used to report about the research gaps. The example may look like nervous behavior due to anxiety will be essential issue for future research. If you find such kind of sentence in any research study, you need to directly understand that it is pointing towards a research gap. The next word we have is further. A typical example of this word may look like a further study focusing on causes of anxiety is therefore suggested. The third word is needed. Example of needed is additional research is needed to fully comprehend the causes of anxiety. These kind of sentences always point towards research gaps that are present in typical studies. Next word we have extended. Example is this research can be extended by exploring the parental perceptions about academic achievements of their children. Here, extended word is pointing towards the research gap that the author is willing to introduce. Next word we have required. Example is additional studies are required to establish the effects of CPEC on Chinese economy. Here, you can see that the word require or required is signaling about a research gap. Unanswered. Questions like how joint family system impacts married life still remains unanswered. Here, unanswered is also pointing towards a research gap. The next word in our list we have asked. Questions like how COVID-19 affected the administrative styles of head teachers of primary schools should be asked. This sentence is also reporting a research gap. Next phrase we have more research. More research is essential to describe the efficacy of COVID-19 vaccines. This sentence is also introducing a research gap. Next word we have interesting. A typical example of interesting may look like it would be interesting to discover the pattern in different variants of coronavirus. Here the word interesting is reporting about a research gap that is present in a typical study. Next word we have recommended. It is recommended that further research may be undertaken to determine the reluctance level of young people towards getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Here, the word recommended is also pointing about a research gap. The word suggested is also used to report about a research gap, and its example is like it is suggested that the link between positive and negative attitude towards money may be investigated. You can see that here the word suggested is recommending a research gap. Sometimes the word progression is also used to report about a research gap. And its example may look like analyzing the awareness level of parents about girls' stipend program will be a natural progression of this study. Here you can see that the word progression is recommending that this research may be extended by analyzing the awareness level of parents about girls' stipend program. The word elucidated is also used by some authors to report about the research gaps. And a typical example may look like the main cause or spread of COVID-19 is still to be elucidated. Sometimes the word Freud is also used to introduce the research gaps. And its example is large random samples could provide more conclusive evidence about the generalizability of one-child policy. Produce. More focus could produce motivating results about social relations in tight-knitted societies. Sometimes some authors use the word important to report about the research gaps that are present in their studies. If you find a sentence like this, it is important to address the educational problems of marginalized segments of Pakistani society. You need to understand that it is a research gap. More information. More information on clinical trials of COVID vaccine will help in establishing a greater degree of accuracy of these vaccines. Here, the word more information is necessitating that it is a research gap. That researchers and students was that I wanted to share with you about future recommendation-based signal words. And I hope that this episode would have proved conducive in extending your understanding about future recommendation-based signal words. Now, all you need to do is search for sentences containing any of these words in an article or thesis, and look if they possess any gap or gaps for you. In the third episode of this series, we will assess the applicability of these signal words in articles and theses. Kindly like this video and share with your friends, and also subscribe this channel. Thank you.